quickly, as always, we'll have updates for you and then a discussion amongst the group. And a lot of updates today. So quickly, our digital skills and opportunity plan was officially approved by U.S. Commerce slash NTIA. And that occurred last week, actually. So last Thursday is when that occurred. The federal side put out a press release on last Thursday. The state put out a press release on Wednesday. And then you should have received, if you're on this call, you should have received a news alert from us yesterday, also letting everyone know that the plan was approved. Our team at the Arkansas State Broadband Office has until May 28th to technically apply for the first round of funding. The current plan is that those funds will be distributed over 3 years with 3 separate NOFOs. This year, 1 next year, and then 1 in 2026. The current kind of allocation breakdown, again, this is not a competitive grant. There will be digital equity competitive grant process a little bit later on, but this one is formula based. And so, and again, our office has to receive those funds and administer this particular program. So in year 1, we should receive about 60% of our allocation. We think a little over $10 million, and then 20% in year 2 and 20% in year 3 for a total of about $17 million. Now that may change just a little bit. They're going to do different sort of recalculate each year based on census data and based on access updates as far as broadband connectivity. So the numbers could change a little bit in year 2, year 3. But that's our current projection of about 17 million. So a little less than we thought. Prior, we had talked about a $20 million number, but 17. And so we'll take that. You know, we're happy with that and be proud and go do some good work for Arkansans on the ground. Again, the focus, the main focus of these dollars will be specific to digital skills and digital devices. And we will have more information to come in the following months about how to potentially access those dollars. You know, our team is still working through the minutia and the details of the operational processes of this, but this is the next phase, and we're really excited to get moving on that. Our County Broadband Roadshow continues yesterday. We were down in Calhoun, Union, Ouachita, and Nevada counties. We had really good crowds yesterday, a lot of energy, so we were excited to see that. And next week on Tuesday, heading over to the east, Phillips, Deshay, Lincoln, and Arkansas counties, and then Thursday, Crittenden, Mississippi, Craighead, and Poinsett. We wanted to kind of get this in front of you as well. It's not official just yet, but we think we're close to securing Tuesday, June 25th at Oak Lawn and Hot Springs to have a 1-day kind of BEAD Broadband Summit for Arkansas. So really the current whiteboard agenda, we'd have a morning session or session 1 from 8 to 12, specific to infrastructure and what that's going to look like and the processes. So more tailored towards our ISP crowd. And the second session of the day, probably a 1 to 5 timeframe, focusing on non-deployment. Okay, so again, technically not official yet, but we think we are close to securing Tuesday, June 25th for a statewide broadband summit in Hot Springs at Oak Lawn. And when that becomes official, we'll let you know, but we wanted to kind of put that in pencil on your calendars, okay? All right, third update, we do have, it was in our weekly update yesterday that went out that you should have received. If you're not receiving those, please let us know so we can update our email list. But we had a new employee join the team this week. Ms. Pravalika joins us from Northern Illinois University, and she brings a wealth of experience in data analysis and visualization and machine learning to our team. We're really excited about it. And Pravalika, why don't you introduce yourself for the folks today? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Pravalika Kotaru. Great meeting part of this meeting. I'm so excited to get started. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Pravalika. Again, glad to have you. She replaces Caleb on our team in a data analytics role for us mostly, at least right now. Moving forward, the role will expand and encompass more things for us, but she's very talented. We're super excited. And it's going to benefit everyone, including you, that she's on our team. So glad to have you in Arkansas, Pravalika. Thanks for joining us. All right, so obviously it's a special mapping challenge process edition of our call today. We have 14 days left, okay, folks, for the first 30-day phase of this. That's most important and most impactful for everyday residents at the grassroots level, okay? Again, it's a months-long process, and we're in the midst of that first 30-day challenge phase from March 20th to April 18th. So again, we have 14 days left in this first challenge phase that's most impactful for you and your residents in your counties. So it's critical. That's why we're talking again today, and we'll have more information and updates for you. And again, this is our tentative timeline for folks who may have not seen this before. We're in the midst of our first challenge phase through April 18th. Tentatively, April 19th would begin our rebuttal phase. That's where the ISPs get to have their 30-day period in this process. And then lastly, the adjudication phase tentatively would start May 19th and go through June 17th, where then our team has to go back and go through everything that was submitted and put final adjustments to the map, okay? After that happens, we have to submit everything that we did off to NTIA at the federal level, and they have to approve and sign off on everything that occurred. Okay, so that's part of this process as well. And again, this is the tentative timeline. If we receive, 100,000 locations that are challenged on April 18th, well, we're not going to be immediately able to go to April 19th and start the next phase. It may take us a few days to a week to sort of sift through that if we have a heavy volume at the end of the challenge phase. So there's a tentative timeline. We just want to make sure that that's clear for everyone. Our challenge process stats as of this morning at 8 a.m. Okay, we've had 145 eligible challenger registrations to date. 60 of those ISPs representing 52 ISP entities. Okay, so some of the ISPs have more than one person who is signed up, all right? But 60 registrations specific to ISPs representing 52 individual ISPs. On the local government front, we've had 54 registrations as eligible challengers covering 37 different entities. So 17 counties are represented and 20 cities are represented. Hopefully, Lane tracks this kind of all day, and hopefully we see a few additions. We pressed very hard yesterday in our meetings in the 4 counties that we visited yesterday. I think a few of those maybe have one eligible challenger. I think a couple didn't. And we pressed them very hard. Look, that we needed, our goal is to have one at least in every county. We want to have 3 or 4. Okay, so we're still pushing to the very end to get as many eligible challengers at the local government level as possible. On our nonprofit side, we've had 31 official registrations as an eligible challenger out of nonprofits, representing 29 different nonprofits there. We crossed the 5,000 mark on speed test this week, so good job, folks. As of this morning, almost 5,400 speed tests input into the system, covering a little over 3,700 unique addresses. So folks are doing it more than once, which is what we need as a reminder to count as an eligible suggested correction by our residents. You have to have at least 3 speed tests on 3 different days, okay? That's part of the process for that. And you also have to upload documentation of the plan that you're subscribed to as part of that process. And it's there in the speed test portal system. So when you're doing the speed test, not only will it have, once you click through some of the screens, not only will you have the ability to upload or drop in your proof of the subscription that you have, when they put their email address in on the last screen, that then prompts them. The system will email folks letting them know to run the speed test again. Okay, so that's critically important as well. So far, we've had 82 resident corrections into the system, so we'd like to see that number go higher. So please continue to do your outreach on this process. We've had 138 official challenges into the system, covering almost 6,000 locations to date. All right, we have 2 weeks left to go in this phase of the process. All right, at this point, we're going to turn it over to Lane this morning for some quick updates from our deputy director.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn, and good morning, everybody. I am dropping a couple of email addresses into the chat for support as you submit challenges. if you have questions or issues, programmatic issues like what type of evidence you need to supply, or issues along that route, we've got broadband.challenges@arkansas.gov is your best approach. If it's a technical problem, if you're getting some kind of glitch or there's a technical issue that you don't understand, we have an address there straight to our software folks. That's arhelpdesk@ready.net. So I do encourage you to use those email addresses when you have a question about your challenges. Of course, you can email me, and a lot of you are, and that's great. It gives us a little bit more coverage if you will email those addresses, because we have folks who will triage those, get them to the right folks. And if I'm caught up in a 3-hour meeting, which happens a lot, you probably get a response sooner if you'll reach out to one of those 2 email addresses, depending on what your issue is. But I'm not going to tell you not to continue emailing me. That's fine. Just understand, it might be a little more efficient to reach out to those addresses. Want to talk for a minute about the evidence requirements on the challenges. They're pretty well detailed in the challenge process user guide, and that is taken from our initial proposal, volume 1. Two of our sister states have already completed the challenge process, Louisiana and Kansas, and they are going through the process now with NTIA. We've always known NTIA was going to review our challenge results and approve those at the end of the process. What we're hearing, though, is that NTIA is taking, these aren't my words, somebody in Louisiana called it a hypercritical look at the challenge process and looking at the evidence that was gathered. So if it feels like some of the evidence that we're asking for, if you get a challenge kicked back to you asking for a revision, it's so that we know that that challenge and the rebuttal and the ultimate adjudication that our office does will stand up to that review by NTIA, so that our challenges are firm and we can quickly get through the challenge approval process through the NTIA, so that we can start move into the time where we're going to open up the portal for applications for broadband grants. So it's all about keeping to our schedule. And so if you have any questions about evidence and whether something is good enough, you can shoot it to broadband.challenges@arkansas.gov. We'll get you a response real quick. And I think with that, that's all I have today. I'm going to turn it over to Julie DeKuyper with Michael Baker International. Michael Baker is on the front lines of receiving those challenges and taking the first look at the evidence. So, Julie, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Lane. First of all, happy Friday. I like to say that to everyone. I do want to just lead off with stressing what Lane already shared, that if you haven't yet, please do read and refer to the user guide. We have outlined all the different types of challenges, all the steps, all the types of evidence. And it really helps, because otherwise then you're going back and forth. And the way the system is set up, you only really get one chance to revise, and that's just for fairness and transparency. So for example, if one particular entity, a permissible challenger, got 5 or 6 reach outs and help within the system, that wouldn't be considered fair to the other ones. So everyone gets one review, one revision, and therefore I think a couple of you may have received a note that said, like, please withdraw and then resubmit. And that's just a way to help you to say, okay, now I'm going to do it again and do it properly. But the best way is to just send an email to that email address, and Lane will direct it to one of our specialists. And then we can start a conversation. We can pick up the phone. We can help you. We want you to succeed. So that's the other thing, is make sure that you don't shy away from challenging. Even if you do, don't get the answer that you're looking for, it's always worth challenging. It's always worth setting up the expectation with those in your community that there still is time. We've got a good 2 weeks. Please try to get them in early, obviously. So, if you're thinking about challenging and you haven't done it yet, go ahead and do it. If you still feel like you're not sure, reach out to that email and someone will give you a call and walk you through it. Okay. And since you already have the statistics, I won't give them again because Glenn has better statistics than I do. I think he pulls them fresh. So, all right. Thank you. That's all we have.
Thanks, Julie. And to be fair, Lane pulls that for us every morning. So kudos to Lane on tracking that. Let me make sure that Philip is with us. I don't see him at the moment. Normally moving forward, we're going to have also have an update from NTIA, and Philip Powell is our NTIA Federal Program Officer. Okay, so he is responsible for representing NTIA in Arkansas and working with our team on these processes. Normally, we have a spot for him to provide an update from the federal side on all things BEAD, including this challenge process. And he was supposed to be here, but I think he must have gotten caught up because he's not on the list, and so that's fine. We'll keep going and come back to him if he joins us. So quickly, we mentioned this in our call with our ISPs this morning on the 8:30 call. Our BEAD, it says IPv2. That's Initial Proposal Volume 2 is kind of what that stands for. We submitted our second round of curing, and that's just where NTIA makes notes on our document and says, hey, you may need to tweak this. We have questions about something. And we submitted our second round back to them, answering their questions, doing some tweaking earlier this week. And again, this particular document talks about how the State Broadband Office plans to operate the infrastructure grant round, okay, in this program, and also some high-level information about how we want to operate the non-deployment side as well in this document. We think we are really close to getting approval on this document. The information that was asked of us in this second round of tweaking was very minimal, to be honest. So far, I haven't checked the dashboard system. I think Louisiana, as of the last time I looked, was still the only state that had this particular document approved. We think we're really close. And so it could come next week. It could come 6 weeks from now. We're not exactly sure, but we do know that what we responded to and their questions was very minimal. We feel really good about where we are. We could be the second state in the country. Not sure. We're trying for top 10. That's always our goal. But we could be number 2. We'll just have to see what happens the next couple of weeks. With that in mind, again, this document is still subject to NTIA approval, subject to change. We are going to go ahead and post this version on the website today, okay? And it'll be available for you to go and look at and read. It's actually already there. I checked it before this call. So let me get out real quick. And if you go to the homepage at broadband.arkansas.gov and scroll down a little bit, because obviously we want our challenge information to remain at the top for now. But if you scroll down just a little bit, this BEAD Initial Proposal Volume 2, okay? The document is now here. And it's available for you. So if you click it, you'll have access to this document. Again, this document outlines how the state is going to propose to run its infrastructure grant round, as well as non-deployment, which is really important for all of our county committees and stakeholders. It's not the final document. This could still change. If they come back to us with additional questions, we'll have to tweak some things. But again, we think we're really close. And so we wanted to go ahead and put this out for consumption in your review, and have that available to you. And it is, again, on the website for everyone to see. Back to PowerPoint. Balance back up. Sign. Double check to see if Philip joined us, and I don't see him. So with that, let's go to you guys. We'll open up the floor, and we can do chat box, or we can do conversation, whatever you guys want to talk about today. It could be challenge related. It could be other things related as well. We can take it in any direction you want it to go. So we'll open up the floor. Okay, let's see. Pam, I received feedback from residents that they do not probably know what steps to take when they get to the website. It does not have a 1, 2, 3 process to tell them specifics of what they need to do. Can we get a document that shows exactly what they need to do? Our state has a large population of low-income and undereducated people. They need simple instruction. Yeah, it's sort of, Pam, it's tough, right? Because people need simple instruction, but yet they want details. And so we have tried. I'll show you. Let me go back to the site again. So we've taken a lot of thought into this. The sort of the marketing resources, okay, are available for folks. We place them on the website now. You know, to me, if we walk through it, step 1, visit the new state broadband map at broadband.arkansas.gov, right? So with that, they go to the website and it tells them visit the new state broadband map at the website. And it's literally right here, right? And they click it. Okay. Step 2, enter your address in the top right corner. Top right corner. I'll pick my address for simplicity. Okay. Step 3, what color is your dot? Well, my dot's gray, right? If it was green, again, that's good news. We're going to do a grant later this year in the process. If it shows up as blue, that's good news for folks. That means we're going to do a grant later this year. If they show up as green, again, good news. A grant was previously awarded for that location. If they're gray, like mine is, right? My dot in my house is gray. Now, this is nuanced, okay? We've very simply said an ISP says you have quality internet. Okay. There's a lot to that. There's speeds involved. There's thresholds involved. There's a lot to that. We have tried to make this as simple as possible for everyday folks, okay? If someone is in a situation where they have no access at all, nothing's there, or the access they do have is really poor, I think that they would disagree that they have quality internet, right? If that's the case, let us know. Click the suggest a correction link on the website. It's right here. Suggest a correction.
Okay, can
Okay.
you go right? Can
Hey,
you go
Pam.
down just a little bit? You said you added some new links on the website.
So this right here, this click, we added this to help out. So if folks disagree, all right, we added this little blurb about click the suggest a correction link.
Right, right.
Okay, and that's literally right here. Suggest a
Okay.
correction.
If you scroll
Right.
down right
And this, go ahead. Yeah.
where you were at just on the website, if you scroll
Mhm.
down, you said you added some new links.
Oh yeah, right here.
Okay.
So we added this stuff. So the digital flyer is available for download. So if you need to push it through social media or print it or what have you, it's there for you. Instead of us having to email everyone all the time, right? With everything, it's
Uh-huh.
here. The social media graphics available. And also we were trying to help the local papers get the word out as well.
Okay, okay,
Right.
okay.
So that text is here for folks too, to help put pressure on the local newspaper guys or ladies to put it in the paper. Right?
Okay,
Let people know it's happening. So all that's available right here too.
okay. One of the things that I'm finding hard to explain, because when I send out this information,
Mhm.
I try to explain it to them. And when I get to the
Mhm.
speed test part, and
Mhm.
I think it would be nice if you had something that showed that information, where here's where you can find your speed that you're paying for. You know, you can go here, here, and here, and this is what we require. We need you to put, you know, a screenshot of the documentation. You know,
Mhm.
that would be helpful also.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I hear you. I think
Otherwise,
when
you may
Mhm.
get a lot of challenges that don't have that information that you need, that you're requiring.
Yeah, and the thing too is, if we, again, I'll use my address to quickly do it. This is something we didn't get into very much on the road with folks, because again, we're 95% of folks, it's a speed test issue, right? And when they go next, it's speed. It's right there for them.
Right.
And they click next, and it walks through what to do, and click at the provider they challenge. Um, but my point with that was, there are other options too. So it's not, the speed test isn't the only thing. That's what we focused on in our outreach to the locals, because that's the most kind of likely thing that would be challenged by any one resident, because we have to try to manage for the rule, not the exception, most times, to be most effective. Again, let me use mine. And how I'm going to do that, it tells you, look, please search for a location, right? There are other options besides speed. Speed is one of several. If a provider, if an ISP is saying that folks have fiber is available to them at their location, right? That's challengeable too. But again, we tried to manage for the vast majority of folks, which is a speed issue. And we've tried to make it as kind of clear as we could. If we go
Okay,
go ahead.
may I ask a question? So you're
Yeah.
saying that they don't have to have a speed test in these situations? They can say, oh no, it's availability, accessibility.
So it depends on what they're trying to challenge, right?
Mm.
If the speed is the issue, then they should challenge speed. If availability is the issue, then they should challenge availability, right? So it depends on what they're trying to challenge, what they need to challenge. I think we as a team, the vast majority of folks, it's a speed issue. So that's what we focused on in our outreach, right? But for some folks, it may be an availability issue. At that point, we're managing for less than probably 5% of folks. And in this limited time frame, we had to try to target the most impactful, suggestible corrections to the map, and we, felt as though that 95% of that, at least, would be speed related. So that's why we focus so hard on it. But there are other challengeable issues.
Okay. And I'm going to let you guys get back to other people. I apologize for taking
Okay.
up so much time, but the user guide that is on there, is that for the average resident to go through and use, or is that for us?
If you go down to page 44, okay, in this 47-page guide, that's where it talks about this tool. This tool. So that's also available for folks if you have, page 44, 45, 46, I think. Yeah, just those 3 pages. Because again, we feel it's very user friendly. So those 3 pages, if it's helpful, for you, just use those 3 pages, and when you touch and when you communicate with people.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your help.
Okay, Pam. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, and earlier, Elaine, again, put in the a couple of email addresses for you guys to have for your reference. Okay, Anna. How can we get to the speed test portal system to view the Hempstead County speed tests and assess if we need to push it forward? Lane, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, Anna, we can't give you direct access into the speed test portal. We can share all the speed test data for Hempstead County. I have to go in, pardon me, and strip it of IP addresses, mainly, and hide any information that shouldn't be shared. So I will email you a list of all the Hempstead County speed tests that have been performed, and you'll be able to see the results. It'll be a nice little report. I'll get that to you as soon as possible. We're having a little bit of an issue with sorting and creating these reports at the county level, but that should be resolved in hopefully today, and I can get that out to you.
Thank
That
you,
answer your
Lane.
question? Okay. Yep.
Does, and there's just a slight follow up to that. So I think maybe I have understood some information incorrectly. And so what I'm understanding now is that a challenge will not go into our portal because we're the ABLN representatives automatically if it's eligible.
Well,
we have no challenges in our portal
Yeah,
to
I think-
approve or
Okay.
disapprove.
Yeah.
And so we're
Okay.
kind of like, we've done all this work, we've seen all these mailers, we've seen all these backpacks,
Mhm.
and we've talked to all the civic clubs and people are doing it, but we don't even know we're having a lot of phone calls, but we can't see where our traction is, like how many folks are even testing in our county.
yeah. Blaine, can I share for a second? Or did you want to take that?
Yes. No, I'll stop sharing. I think, I was going to kind of on what Anna was saying is sort of they're logging into the portal and not seeing their stuff. And so you're wondering where it is, right? I
Have
think
we
that's
done
because-
something wrong?
No, I think
I,
Lane will kind of describe what that issue is. Yeah.
I'm about to share my screen, and keep in mind, folks, my screen's slightly different because I have different permissions, but give me just a moment. Okay, so individual speed test data, like I said, will not be available to you, but I can kick it to you in Excel. If those speed tests,
Lane.
yes, sir.
Hey, and you may be going to this. I was going to explain
Mhm.
like why there's 5,000 speed tests, but folks aren't seeing them in the portal.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So out of those 5,000 speed tests that Glenn said we'd received, they're only going to create a challenge if they check a number of boxes, and those include there've been at least 3 speed tests on 3 different days, and the median speed was below served. That's less than 100 download, less than 20 upload, and that speed test challenge would result in changing the status of a served location to unserved or underserved. So if you are already if you're doing a speed test from a funded location, it's not going to change the status of that location. If you're doing a speed test and you're already shown as unserved or underserved, it's not going to change the status of that location. So it will not result in a challenge. It's only going to result in a challenge if it's going to change the status of that location from served to underserved or unserved. So, and then it also is going to have, during the speed test, you're asked to provide proof of what speed tier you're paying for. Ideally, you upload a copy of your bill. If that's not possible, you would just could write out a statement in a Word document and sign it, scan it, upload that, some sort of proof. So it's got to meet those criteria before the system is going to take those speed tests and turn them into a challenge. So I will try to get us some numbers on, out of that 5,000, how many have resulted in a challenge. Not many, I can tell you right now, because it's really hard to hit all those check marks. But when they do create a challenge, am I sharing? Do you see my screen? Okay. When they do, when you signed up, and this is only for nonprofits and units of local government, this is not for ISPs. If when you signed up, you asked to be included in residential corrections for your area, if you said yes, then you would be able to go here underneath the, on the left-hand side of your screen, you should have resident corrections, and you would click on that. And here are all of the potential challenges, and this will be limited to your county. We'll show you all the potential challenges here. This includes challenges created from the speed test tool. It also includes challenges created from the resident corrections tool. And because my view is a little bit different, I don't have a submit button, but you would be able to submit the challenges from here if you're a registered challenger as a nonprofit or a unit of local government.
So Lane, that makes sense. So we don't create a challenge. It will go into the resident corrections on the left side of the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
So we as an organization, based on a phone call, are never going to create a challenge. It is only going to come from a speed test or a resident correction.
I need
Or
to expand on
there's
that a little bit, because yes, absolutely, you can initiate a challenge as a registered challenger. Let me go to a different view here. Yes, you can absolutely initiate a challenge off a phone call, and you do that. Now, what I just showed you is when our systems collect data from people going to our website and submitting speed tests or submitting suggested corrections. That is, those two avenues are our way around the NTIA's ban on letting citizens submit challenges. Okay, the NTIA made that rule that only three categories of folks can submit challenges, and nonprofits, local governments, and ISPs. All right. Our speed test tool and our technology is our way around that, so citizens can get involved and provide evidence. And our technology will take that and turn it into a ready-made challenge for you to submit. If you have other challenges that didn't come that way, you go here, just into the regular challenge map, and up here on the right-hand side, add your challenge. And then you've got all your 4 categories of challenges. 99% of them are going to be here under provider service level. And then you'll see all the same categories you see in our public collection: availability, speed, latency, data cap. And if you have all the information from that phone call or from an email from a citizen, you can initiate the challenge this way and answer all the questions, drop in the evidence, and submit it on their behalf. Absolutely, yes, we can do that.
If there is no dot on the map for someone that calls us, a
Mhm.
resident calls us, there's no dot on the map, it's showing completely unserved. We wouldn't do a challenge for that anyway, right? Because it's completely unserved.
Unfortunately, if there's no dot on the map, unless it's a missing community anchor institution, no, we are not allowed to add new dots to the map. That's also an NTIA rule. We were limited to the FCC's fabric. We are hoping we will get some guidance after the challenge process, but before we go into awarding bids, on what to do. Because based on my research and experience, I'm noticing any home built later than, say, late 2022 is not represented on the map. That's a problem. We also have some older homes, been there forever. Somehow the FCC never captured them as a location, and they're not represented on the map. And again, we are not allowed to add new dots to the map during this challenge process unless you're adding a location that's a community anchor institution. Does that,
And-
I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but does it answer
Sure.
your question?
And to
So, and I'm sorry, I keep asking all of these questions. So
Oh,
what
no.
we're going to do internally, because it sounds like there may be a opportunity for a conversation for these people in the future, is to create a database in an Excel spreadsheet with their information and address.
Yes, as much address
Contact
information as you can provide, you know, street number, street name, everything you can provide about that address. Type of location, is it a residence, is it a business? You don't have to, but if you could even put when it was constructed or ballpark, you know, that could be a big help. We don't know what type of guidance we're going to get, but I'm really hoping we get good news so that we can fund those locations.
Yeah, and just to follow up quickly, there's a separate, at least as of right now, there is a separate FCC challenge process for this issue. So our team will work to put together some brief instructions on how to challenge a location not being present on the map through the FCC at the federal level. There's a separate process that we can help walk people through for now, and then we'll wait for additional guidance from NTIA moving forward on how it affects our funding. Okay.
Okay,
Lane.
one more question.
Go ahead.
We have no challenges in our portal from speed test, resident change, anything. We have nothing.
Speed test, did they?
So
Do y'all push it to us after y'all review it, or does it go directly to us and then we filter it? Because we just think there could be something wrong.
Okay. Great question. They should all be pushed to you by the system, and I'll open up a ticket right now and have them do a special search for Hempstead. I'll have them do all 75 counties and do a push, make sure nothing's broken. And if nothing's broken and there are zero for yours, then we'll just need to you know, probably more outreach, more speed test, that sort of thing. But,
Yeah, and like
give me a little time to look into that with our software folks.
Yeah, that's why we're fearful, because we've done a lot of outreach. Like,
sure.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
remember,
yeah.
and just to follow up quickly, the likely scenario is that a gray dot location in Hempstead County has not done 3 different speed tests on 3 different days at 3 different times and attached their proof, and they were a gray dot. Those things happen, then it moves across. I think that's very likely the missing component, right? So you may have had people who did 2. Hey, Bob, 1 second. The likelihood has happened is you've had some folks who have done 2 speed tests. They didn't do the 3rd one, or they did 8 speed tests, but they're a red dot. That doesn't help, right? Because they're already marked as red or blue. So we could have 45,000 speed tests from folks from red and blue dots, and it's not going to hit anybody's portal because they're already marked as red or blue. Has to come from the gray dots. Okay, and that's likely the issue. Bob, let's go to you quick, and then I'll go back to the chat.
Glenn, that's my question. I've done 5 speed tests, provided the data. It's a gray dot. Nothing. Tyler Gentry from the judge's office on his call. There's 0 speed test in Boone County, so that's not right. We've got the same issue that she has.
All right, so you're marked as a gray dot.
Yep.
at your location,
Yep.
and you've run at least 3 speed tests,
Yes,
and did it come back as being less than 100 by 20?
yes,
And you attached the documentation.
yes.
Okay, we'll check into
But the
it.
point, the
Bob,
point
can
is,
you email me
Tyler-
your address, please?
yeah, but Tyler is showing 0 speed test in Boone County. So it's not just me, but that's a perfect example of where I personally did them. I
Mhm.
know that they've been done and it just didn't do it.
Bob, what's your address? Are you there, Bob?
5076 Point Road, Harrison. And in fact, there's a whole issue with that. My house has a gray dot. The outbuilding next to it has a red dot with 300 down and 25 up from Verizon. There is no such thing there. So I'd sent you and Lane a note earlier. How do we
Mhm.
challenge that?
Okay, so question, who are you, Bob, who are you subscribed to right now for
Windstream,
internet?
Windstream.
And what's your package?
The only thing they offer is less than 25. I've got
That's it.
23 on all the speed tests.
See, that's the issue, right? Is you're a Windstream subscriber.
Yeah.
Right? So Windstream's not offering 100 by 20 to
Right.
you, right? So that would not result in a challenge for Windstream.
Oh, okay, but the question is, there is a red dot on my property, which is
Okay.
an outbuilding. The outbuilding, it shows, is served by Verizon at 300 up, 300 down and 25 up. There is nothing in that outbuilding. There's no electricity there, but the red dot shows it's there.
Okay. So for you, let me go back to your address first to triage this, and
Yeah.
we'll check the clock.
I'm sorry, not a
So
red dot, it's a blue dot. Where you've got your hand is my house. The blue dot that was there is an outbuilding.
yeah, it was when I did your address, it kind of it shows up. Watch, I'll do this. It's sort of the locational. It's for location purposes. So if I take that off,
Oh,
right.
okay.
But I click here, right?
Yeah.
And let me go back to you. So in this case, you're subscribed to Windstream. They're offering you copper, right? So if
Right.
that's the case, any speed test you should do would be less than 100 by 20 because you
Okay.
can't get 100 by 20, right?
All right.
So your issue is that Verizon here is saying that they would be able to offer you 300 by 20
And they
through
do not.
license. Right.
They
So
do not.
so that would be an availability challenge.
Okay, that's my question to you is how do we challenge that? So
Mm-hmm.
how is
I'm
that
gonna come back.
submitted? How is that submitted
Yes.
to
So I'm going to
Tyler?
I'm going to show you right now.
Okay.
So back on the website, right, when you go to suggest a correction, and what was the address, Bob, again, one more time? I'm sorry.
5076 Point Road. 76 Point Road. Yeah,
Yeah, here.
there it is.
Okay, so we'll click your little house. There, next. Availability.
Okay.
The broadband services reported as available are not actually available.
So Tyler has to do that
No, you have to
as
do
the
that.
challenger, but I'm not a challenger.
You are doing a resident correction.
Yes. Okay.
So you would
I
use
can
this
do that.
tool. Yes,
All
you go
right.
next. And what's going to happen,
Okay.
name,
All right.
email. And look, Verizon,
Yeah.
select it, license fixed wireless. You would say, where is it at? Providers not offer that technology
That is
at that
correct.
location.
That
move
is correct.
forward. I'm not going to keep going
Okay.
for this, but that's how you
No,
do
no,
it.
that's fine. I
Okay.
apologize. That's what I could not find anywhere, so that makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks,
Now,
Bob.
when I do that, is that going to register a challenge in Boone County for Tyler to see?
Assuming you filled out everything correctly and attached what you need to
Okay.
attach, yes,
Got it. Got it.
it
All
will
right.
automatically
Perfect.
go to him. Okay.
Perfect.
In the background. All right,
Yeah.
let me come back to the chat real quick. Let's see. Glenn said, well, this is focused on under. Let me make sure my phone doesn't, if it dies, I'll go to the camera. Let's see, well, this is focused on underserved. What about served but poorly? I pay for 1 gig test, always report less than 400. Okay, so our threshold is 100 by 20. Glenn, okay, so if you're paying for a gig and you're getting 350, that's an issue, and we should have a conversation with your provider, try to work through that. But that would not be challengeable in this process because you have access to more than 100 by 20. Okay. Anna said, how do you challenge when there's no dot? We're going to send out a follow-up communication about how to do the FCC process for that while we continue to wait for information from NTIA moving forward. Okay. Monica, do you have an update on county zone availability in the portal? Also, any news on the CBGs being available in the zone library? Lane?
I do not have dates on those. Both are software enhancements. Of course, we're in production, so got to be especially careful about rolling out any new update. Monica, I will reach out to you just as soon as we know those enhancements are going to be ready.
See, Pam, they can just write a document that has their ISP name and the speeds they're paying for. That can be used as documentation on a speed test challenge. I'm going to lean into Lane and Michael Baker on that.
And Julie, help me out here, but we have gotten a lot of reports, folks who cannot, one reason or another, obtain a bill from their ISP that clearly shows the speed tier they are paying for. And we don't want that to keep you from challenging. My recommendation, if all other efforts to find some sort of evidence from your ISP what you are paying for, then rather than give up, we would rather see you provide some sort of evidence that might include writing a statement out and signing it, telling us what you are paying for. And
That's
Julia,
fine with us, Lane, just if
Mhm.
you would put that in an email, we'll make sure that our team does that. The other thing you can do is if, I know some people have had trouble getting their bills is, again, maybe trying to find something online that is
Mhm.
said this is the service that's offered in your area. You know how when you go like add new service, you could do a fake add new service, see if it brings up some options. Of course, any screenshots from speed tests you're taking and things like that. But I mean, we'll work with you. The bottom line is it's what the NTIA is going to accept. But, we're certainly happy to take that on.
and we are aware that many ISP invoices do not show the speed tier you're paying for. So we're wanting to work with you on that as much as we can and still have valid evidence.
Thanks, Lane and Julie. Robert said several addresses in Boone County are not showing up and are not newly built homes. Yeah, so we're gonna, again, we'll put out some information about how to challenge unmarked locations via a different process with the FCC that you can do today. And so we'll do that. We'll put that out while we still wait for clarification from the feds. No data in Boone County portal as well. I think that was specific to not seeing. We've had 5,000 speed tests, but we're not seeing anything in our portal. Again, that's because, A, they have to come from gray dots. B, they have to do it at least 3 times over 3 different days. And C, have to have some sort of documentation backing it up. those boxes get checked, then you would see them in your portal system. Quick, Bob, I wanted to make sure that you were able to connect with David on the Windstream bill issue. If you're still there. You may have jumped. Let's see. And we feel you all have great information provided, but it seems very complex for many residents in our area. How can we resolve that? Yeah, look, we understand this is a very nuanced, can be very complicated in a short amount of time, and we have tried our best in that scenario to manage what we could for the vast majority of folks. That's why, this thing is as simple as we could make it to impact as many people as possible. This is as simple as we could make it. This you're boiling down a 47-page manual into this flyer, right? This is as simple as we could make it happen for folks to affect the most people, right? But we appreciate that this is a very complex process for a lot of folks, and we understand that. All right, we'll keep hanging out a little bit, another minute or two. All right, again, we're doing everything we can to try to help you be successful in this process. It is very challenging and very complex, and again, we tried to make it as simple as we could to affect the majority of folks and not the exceptions. We appreciate you being patient with us and working with us on this. Again, as always, email us, call us, text us, however we can be helpful. We'll try to be through this process. And until then, we'll be back and see you next Friday. So thank you very much.